Now go.
Now go.
Mary Lou, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the tape is now timed and date.
Okay, and now I will open the public hearing regarding the amendment to the town code entitled Revision in Municipal Search Procedure. If anyone has anything to say about it. Okay, there's no comment on it.
Can we read an email that was sent to Patty and I and George Kolb on it. So some specific questions are: the resolution states that the municipal abstract search, the abstract certificate letter of record for both residential and commercial properties will be increased from $125 to $250, and that new policies and procedures will be adopted which will require an on-site inspection of both the exterior and interior of the home prior to a sale or refinancing, which should help prevent a property from being transferred to a new owner with a potential code violation. Will the town be required to perform this inspection, or will the inspection be conducted at the discretion of the code enforcement officer? Number 2 is the resolution states that the fee increase is for an abstract search of commercial properties. In the case of commercial properties, what structures will be subject to the on-site inspection? Number 3, the resolution uses the term home regarding the on-site inspection, but the town code does not specifically define the term home in either section 210-4 or 210-86, which structures should be subject to on-site exterior and interior inspection. Will it just be limited to dwellings or principal structures? Will accessory structures be subject to the same requirements? What about structures which predate building code? And then 4, are agricultural properties subject to the same on-site inspection requirements?
Okay, so our building inspector is not here today, George Kolb. He could not make the meeting, and he will answer. We will give the residents 10 days to call or email or meet with the building inspector, George Kolb, with any questions or concerns. So he will address this within the next 10 days, and at this point we will close the public hearing.
Well,
I will make a motion. No, I will make a motion to close the public hearing and give the residents the 10 days to call or email or meet with the building inspector.
So aren't we really adjourning it until the next meeting?
Extending it to the next meeting? That's what we did on something else.
Well, the next meeting I was hoping to pass it.
Right, because then the 10 days will have passed. Right.
The 10 days will be up.
Right.
Right.
So we're postponing the closure of it until the 2 weeks meeting.
I don't think we have to postpone it, but if that's what you'd like to do, that's what we can do.
I forget the terminology we used.
John, you're more the expert on this stuff.
Yeah.
Are we
You've done this
postponing? Are we
longer than us.
adjourning it until the next meeting?
Well, you can adjourn the
public
hearing. You can reopen it if you so desire on the 18th.
Right.
Or you can just close it now, and if nothing comes up, just move ahead passing the change.
Okay.
And that's what I intended on doing.
So,
I mean, these 10 days really give people a chance to confer with George, and we could talk with George if he feels there's a need for us to
reopen it.
We certainly can do that.
But I'd like to close it now, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Dave second? Okay.
Or John, either one.
Okay. Town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'd like to call the board into executive session over a personnel matter and real property matter. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Nothing was decided.
Meeting. Public comments on agenda items?
My name is James Miller. I live at 355 Waterbury Hill Road. I'm a constable for the town. Tonight, I just would like to talk about the increase in activity that and there are reasons behind it. But before I get into it, you gotta sit back and think, why are we having this activity in our parks? Number one, you got the biggest park in the town, 500 plus acres, all right? We live in a rural town. Statistics show you put two and two together, that attracts the bad people to come in. Whether you guys believe me or not, it does. So, and if you go walk around the park, the evidence is everywhere in the park, if you know what you're looking at. Granted that 90% of it you can't see because it's either happening during the day or it's going on after our patrols. Don't make no doubt about it. It's happening, and it's happening in our parks. I have seen countless baggies that used to contain marijuana all over our parks. Yeah, I know what you're probably thinking. It's just pot. It's still illegal, and it's going.
Hey, Jim, how come that never gets in the reports?
I'm not here to, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've
Okay,
seen.
I'm just curious.
It's still illegal, and it's still going on in our parks. Just recently, I was doing a foot patrol of Godfrey Park, all right? And I came across packages, empty packages of synthetic marijuana. Now, everybody knows what that is, right? It's sold as an incense. But kids are smoking this, all right? And next to these wrappers, I'm finding empty cigar packages. For those that don't know what synthetic marijuana is, it is one of the most deadliest and most powerful forms of marijuana out there. And these kids are smoking them. And believe it or not, they're smoking it in our parks. All right, I've seen similar wrappings down at Time More. So, again, the evidence is there. One of the most alarming things I found in our parks, again, this was at Godfrey. I do what I usually do. I walk around the baseball fields and walk around that little building we got. I saw a baggie that I suspect had meth in it, all right? Now, for those that are gonna question my extent on training with drugs, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's very, very minimal. It allows me to detect what kind of drug it is. It also allows me to see if anybody's under the influence. I can't tell you what they're on, but it helps me detect that. All right, so it's very minimal. And it's happening in our parks. I've caught teens smoking pot in our parks right down here at the bathrooms where, that pavilion where we got all the people dancing and everything like that. Just doing a regular walk, even before I even get close to it, you can smell it, right? Around the corner, there they are. Literally, there's kids playing in that park. So they're disrespecting us, no matter which they are, all right? I've caught them moments after they did it. There's no denying it, because you can smell it. They're doing it. And I would have to say, the other ones I caught, I don't know how they seen me, because I try to make as much noise as I can when I'm in the back of that park. You know, you hear me coming, get out of the park, especially if you're doing something illegal. I pull up to the dam, there's kids up there. I'm like, all right. So I'm just gonna sit there and watch them. Out comes the cigar, unrolling the cigar. Out comes the tobacco. Then comes another package. They're putting that package into the tobacco and into the cigar. And he's putting it to his lips. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna walk up to him. I get 25 feet from them. He sees me. He throws it in the water. This is what's going on in our parks, all right? I've caught countless people doing offensive, really stuff they shouldn't be doing in the park sexually, okay? And this is in broad daylight. So I even caught kids having full-blown sex in our park, all right? Feet from where kids were fishing. Literally, feet from where kids were fishing. Right in the open field. They don't care. There was one time when I was patrolling the back of the campsite. I pull up there, fully involved campfire. Nobody around. Nobody around. This is what's, I'm telling you, we're needed in the parks, and we're needed more than our 2 hours. We all know about that jerk with the four-wheeler with the horse center, right? He's getting more dangerous. Residents that I spoke to that use that horse park, they're telling me he will fly by them, revving his four-wheeler, go up a little ways, do a donut, and shoot right back up the H Trail. Now that's an easy fix. If we just put a rock right there, that's gonna stop that guy from coming in our parks. He's using that as his own dirt track. And if you go up there, I know it's just grass, and I know it's just dirt, but it's damage, and that's costing the town money, whether you look at it that way or not. In the parks, you do. The evidence is there. If you don't know what you're looking for, I'll be happy to show you, all right? I caught adults drinking in our park. I caught past evidence of drinking in the park. And where I'm finding this, it's telling me that they're underage and they're hiding. So they know they're not supposed to be there. So I am asking for the extra hour of patrol, because we are needed in there. Or whatever little you can give the constables. It's needed. Councilman Welsh brought up a thing that they used to be on 2 hours during the day and 2 hours during the night. That will help. And it's also good to know that 99% of these people I'm catching are not town residents. They're not. They are not town residents. They're disrespecting us, coming in our town, doing this. It's not right. It isn't. And I don't know how, but some of them know what we can do and what we can't. As far as the constables, they know what we can do and they know what we can't do. All right? If you ask me, the reason why they're coming in our parks to doing that is from what I explained earlier. We're a rural town. We have the biggest park in the county. There's no, I wouldn't say a free-for-all, but that's what's going on. So I'm not scaring any residents or anything. Our parks are safe. But wow.
Creepy.
So
Empty head back there too.
I want to emphasize it.
that's what it is. That's all I got. I mean, that's why they're coming in our park. 'Cause it's a big park and there's not enough enforcement in there, if you ask me. So, like I said, I'm here. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. It's just, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm running into. It is. So,
When you encounter these people that are doing these activities, what's the procedure? You do an incident report?
Everything's reported, yeah. Everything,
Get their
everything
ID?
when they have it. Again, I'm
I
not
think we
here.
should discuss policy here.
No, hold on a minute.
Make
Hold
a
on.
change in policy on what happens within parks when this is encountered. Because I have some feelings on this that we can discuss in the executive session or something.
With the underagers, right off the bat, I contact the parents. Right off the bat, I am legally obligated to call those parents. Once I make contact with them, I find out how old they are. Legally, I have to contact the parents.
Do we know who the guy on the four-wheeler is?
I'm pretty sure you guys do. This is an ongoing problem.
Well, do we know definitively who he is?
I don't know a name, no.
That would be very hard for them to catch because we don't have.
Well, I understand that, but
Yeah.
if it's commonplace, then
Yeah,
I thought perhaps somebody knew who he was.
Does he have a license
We
plate on him?
can.
But
I'm
you
sure we
think
could
of it
find
this
that
way,
out
if
at
he's
some
doing
point,
this,
too.
is if anybody sees a spooked horse, do you know what a spooked horse would do?
Mhm.
You put a human into that equation, it's just totally more dangerous. Like I said, they're disrespecting us. It's gotta stop. It does. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other public comment on agenda items? Okay, now reports of the supervisor and council members. So I would like to congratulate Jake and Tom for acing the pool certification test. I heard we are certified.
Excellent.
And I'd like to say that I've been working with Jessica and Jake on the Oktoberfest, and this is going really well. I think it's gonna be a great event. Between John Welch, Ryan Cortine, under the gun to get the application in like hours. We ended up there. Let's just pray now that we get this grant. I got a memo from Betty Albrecht, and I can read it to you.
About the ball fields?
Yes, about the ball fields. I wanted to let board know that the past 2 years, our ball fields have not been rented, with the exception for a few nights this season. Many groups had used our fields, Groundhog League, Little League, UV Women's Softball. 2 years ago, the rates for the rental jumped from $25 per game per night to $60, $30 per hour, most needing 2 hours. Perhaps the board can look into adjusting the rental rate for games for the next season. And she attached an email, and I did speak to Jake a little bit, and I think that maybe we could, I think we have money in the budget to maybe bring some good soil in for the fields and build a mound, and I think we could make this a really nice, we have 2 fields, and we have 3 fields, okay, and I think that maybe
Actually, 4.
we could get, right,
Don't forget
Godfrey
Don't
Park,
forget
too.
Godfrey Park, please, don't forget Godfrey Park.
I think if we bring the proper clay in and build the mounds and make these fields what they should be, I think more people will rent them, and maybe we can lower the prices, and half a slice of bread is better than nothing. So I think if we can all work together, we can get these fields rented out and do the right thing for everybody.
All right, I just want to make one comment. The reason we raised the rates 2 years ago was Rob advised us the man hours involved to groom the fields between games was very costly, and that the $60 was reflective of what the actual cost was for his men to groom the fields and maintain them.
And I
I'd
can
be
attest
curious.
to that,
Maybe
Okay.
Jake could look into that, see
So,
if that's
I
still the
think-
case, or maybe there's some way of cutting that cost down.
I mean, Jake has been going out on the limb, and he's been going town to town and seeing what they charge for different things and what every other town around us does. And I think Jay could look into that and come up with a really good solution for it, so,
Yeah, maybe we were doing too much to groom them in between,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
Uh,
so,
I'd be
I'm
curious
sure-
to know what these lower cost fields or what the condition of them are, because ours are always excellent.
so Jake will look into that and
Good.
get back to us.
Thank you.
Also, I went to a horse show on July 17th. It was wonderful to go to. Betty Albrecht had a horse show up here at the Equestrian Center. It was great to go to, it's great to see, and I hope that people come in and do more horse shows because it's a great facility. It's something that nobody else has. I got a memo from Stephanie regarding the senior citizens bus trip. She asked that we maybe approve she got 2 quotes for the bus transportation. She asked that maybe we can approve this tonight. It does take a couple of months. She has to give them a month's notice to schedule the bus and everything. The trip is October 5th, 2016 to Villa Roma Resort and Conference Center. It's an Oktoberfest in Callicoon, New York. Adirondack Trailways was the cheaper price, and she asked that we could make a motion to pass this so she could go ahead and book it, so under the gun for this trip.
All right, I'll make that motion that we approve Adirondack Trailways as a low-cost winner of the bid.
I'll second it.
Town board discussion?
This is a trip they contribute to, so the money
They
gets
pay for it.
paid for anyway, right?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, October 5th, Center. 55 bridge closure. This is a really touchy subject. I've been in contact with many people. I've heard from many, many residents. It's something that is well out of control. It should be completed September 15th from what I read in the Poughkeepsie Journal. It is very dangerous out there. We're trying our best. I called the Dutchess County Sheriff's Department today to try and get the speed signs in, or the speed trap trailer in. Haven't heard back from them yet. I've been working with the New York State Troopers and doing everything I possibly can. Again, this is a state.
They've been doing a good job,
This is a state job.
monitoring everything.
And,
They have been out.
yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, I spoke to our judges. They've issued more tickets than the judges have ever seen. 6 pages last week. This week was just as bad. So, I mean,
And next week's worse.
and next week's probably worse.
I already know.
I know there's a lot going on, and I did call the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office and try to get a hold of Lieutenant Damp, who is in charge of everything. We will try and get more people out there and more things done, and I'm so sorry to the residents who have to deal with this. It really is awful. And I'm doing everything in my power, believe me. I make phone calls every single day. I hear from residents every day, and my heart goes out to those who live in the area. And we're doing everything we can.
So hopefully 40 more days and it's over.
Yes, yes. And I pray to God that nobody gets hurt,
Mm-hmm.
so. Okay, and that's the end of mine. Does any of, Dave, do you have anything?
Yeah. Going along the lines with the Route 55 closure, I received a phone call 2 days ago from the New York State Police asking our assistance of one constable on, I believe it's August 14th.
Yeah.
From 8 in the morning till about 11 to help with traffic control on Parliament Road because of the dangerous things going on there. The farm up there, the riding ranch up there, is having a triathlon.
Crosswinds, right?
Crosswinds, that, I couldn't think of the name, thank you. Crosswinds is having a triathlon. It's a donation run, no, it's a triathlon. I read
Oh,
the
is
sign
it?
today on the way over, it's a triathlon. It's a charity fundraiser. The money is being donated to Sparrow's Nest. For those who are familiar with Sparrow's Nest, they deliver food or meals to families that are suffering from cancer. I'm well aware of them, and I've helped them deliver the meals. There are families right here in Unionville that do get meals from them. So they asked if we could have, I know the fire department is sending out one car. I don't know if you knew that yet.
I didn't know that, but that's it.
Yes, the fire department is sending out one car. The state police are providing 2 patrol cars. They've freed up 2 patrol cars for the period of time that's necessary. There are 4 intersections involved that, that can be fairly busy at that hour in the morning. So they asked us if we would authorize the use of our constable's vehicle and a constable for approximately 3 hours. And I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to make that a motion now.
And I'll second that motion.
Good.
I think it's a well worthwhile endeavor.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, I will second that motion. Town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. John, do you have anything?
Yes, I've been reviewing our employee handbook, and I noticed a deficiency. We did not have anything to address social media, so I have written up a one-page policy, including a definition of social media, and I've emailed it to you.
You wanna hold that for the discussion section of the meeting, or?
Whenever. It's up to
'Cause,
Patty.
I mean, I got some input on that as well.
Okay. We'll, I know it's an agenda item, so we'll
Yeah.
defer it till then.
Okay. That's what you'd like to do. Karina?
I just want to, again, give Jake kudos. We're going to talk about this a little bit more on when we get to the picnic tables for the park, but since we've been unable to get picnic tables in, Jake has been gracious enough when he heard that the Fountains of Millbrook people, residents, have a hard time coming to the park. He said he would absolutely be willing to move a couple picnic tables out of the way and just set up, temporary table where they can put their own chairs that they bring over, their own lawn chairs. So I did let the activities director as well as the resident director over there know, and they absolutely gave you back kudos in an email to me. They were so happy. They said they don't think they've ever gotten an email to accommodate their residents. They were just so happy they were willing to do that. And they actually had planned to come here twice already, and it's gotten rained out. So they promised me that they would give you more than 24 hours notice, because they usually look at their week in advance and let you know. So they were so happy, so thank you.
Well, Jake also said not only the tables, he would bring chairs out if it was necessary too.
They usually just like their lawn chairs.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if he will accommodate them. Steve?
I also been working on the traffic situation there with 55 Detour. I spoke with Sergeant Frontino up there at State Police, and there was one afternoon there were 3 cars dedicated to that area, and they were hitting people left and right. And several days this past week they've had a number of cars there watching the situation. Also spoke with the sheriff's email about that. We could rent a car from them, or hire a car from them specifically to do whatever we assign it in 4-hour blocks. The cost of that would be about $250
For each 4 hours?
for that 4-hour block, yeah. Whether or not we would see the return in the court fees, I don't know. But I spoke with the supervisor out at Dover. They've been using this program. It's been very effective. It's something we, could consider.
It's something I would like to consider. I think I would like to speak with the judges and
Right.
just see how much,
Yeah, right. What it would take to
what it would
recoup
take, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something, and that's one of the reasons that I called the lieutenant today, to find out how much it would cost and, you know,
Yeah. I can give you the phone number of the woman that's in charge of that program.
great, great, yeah. And I did speak to a couple residents today, and I asked her, you know, what hours are you actually seeing the most activity? Because those are the hours that I would like to
Right.
see, you know, the sheriffs or the troopers. And believe me, even though we're not paying them, the sheriffs and the troopers have been there.
Sure.
And they are doing everything they can. They just can't be everywhere all the time.
And that's the problem. They're very strapped for
Yeah, they are.
manpower. You know, they're doing us a big favor by
Yeah, they
sending
are,
cars here.
and I would like to thank the troopers and the sheriffs for doing everything they've been doing for us. So, yeah, that's something I'll definitely look into. Okay. Now we'll go to discussions. Discussion on a cell phone policy. Karina drew up a cell phone policy and emailed it to everyone. I don't know that everyone has gotten a chance to look at it.
I never got it.
Yeah, I never saw the email.
You never got it, okay. So it's really then,
It was attached to your agenda from Andrea, and I said,
The
here,
second agenda
reply
that
to
she sent
all,
out, right?
attached is the cell phone
Must
policy.
have missed it.
I didn't see it either.
I did see it, I did read it, and I got some.
all right,
It's
so
Okay,
I'd
well,
like
let's
to
table it.
table it.
I
till
think
next
we'll
month.
have to table it because John hasn't
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
chance
yeah.
and Steve didn't
Of course.
get a
and it was
chance to
only
look at it,
discussion.
so we'll make sure they get a copy.
It must be.
Yes. So give Steve a copy, he'll get a chance to look
Yep.
at it. All right, so constable hours. So we are definitely gonna put a constable on for August 14th, so there's gonna be some extra hours right there. And as far as the park hours through the summer, how many more weekends do we have?
See, we got four on.
Up to say Labor Day,
Probably about 7,
7 more weekends?
yeah,
So
which includes the Oktoberfest.
we're talking, what did we say,
It's about six.
21 more hours?
Uh,
3 more
7.
hours a day, 3 days a week? So we're talking
I
21
thought
more
it was
hours.
1 hour a day for
1
3
hour.
days.
One additional
Right,
hour.
for
One additional
7
hour.
weeks
Okay.
is 21 hours.
Right.
So, I mean, it's,
Is it gonna be part of the 2-hour shift now becomes a 3-hour shift?
I think,
You know, I can speak for the constables. I mean, I was one for 20 years. A lot of these guys put in far more than the number of hours that they put down. There are times, they get paid for a 2-hour block.
Right.
There are times, I know, I've worked sometimes 3 hours. Then during the winter, when there's nothing going on, you work a little bit less, but I mean, it all pans out in the end. In the 20 years that I was doing that, specifically during the summer months, we would put on, yes, a constable during the days, Saturdays and Sundays, for 2 hours, as well as have a constable on there, you know, doing the time, making sure that everything's locked up and all. The hours during the day were altered. They would not necessarily be going into the park every day at noon and leaving at 2 o'clock. They would be
No,
varying the hours.
you
and all.
don't want anybody to prevent
Right,
your coverage, but,
and
We don't want a schedule.
Yes, they were able to patrol, make sure that the people that were fishing had fishing license, had town permits, besides just fishing licenses, and seeing what was going on. And the people that were running the trails and walking the trails, I used to ride my bike around the trails, and the people were very happy to see you there. The whole mission at that point is, you know, seeing people there to enforce the law is a deterrent. And the constables can, and in fact they are going through their training tomorrow the additional 10 hours, they're starting their 10 hours training tomorrow for bringing them up to date on all the legals that they have to do every year. And we can go over, like you were saying before, maybe some procedures that we want them to do down there. And, I for one am really more, I lean more towards putting them down there for 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday during the nice weather, especially when school's out. It is a deterrent, and they would be devoting that time to the park. And I think it'll...
Well, I think what Steve is trying to ask is this gonna be just an hour added to their thing, or are they
Well,
gonna
right now
come
we're
like
talking
an
about
hour
it-
during the
yeah.
day and come back for their 2 hours a night, right?
I have a concern about that. I don't want to be dragged out of my house to work for an hour and then go home.
Right,
Right.
I mean, to me, it's not worth it.
It's not, that's why I'm
And that's
saying
the
2
reason I
hours.
was asking.
I mean, that was the whole reason why we set it up, that it would be a minimum of 2 hours when they come out and work. Because it doesn't pay somebody to come out of their house to work.
So this
for
is
an hour.
going to have to be an hour tacked on to the shift.
It would,
regular shift.
yeah, but I would,
But
like
I
I
think
say,
the
I would
regular
prefer,
shift should be
Oh,
staggered.
yeah,
Right.
they won't know when the shift is.
I would prefer really that we give them 2 hours during the day and, still have the patrolman at night to make sure that everything is secured.
That's going to have to be another motion.
But, I mean, that would be, I'll be willing to make that motion. I'd be willing to make the motion that they work 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday during the daytime, in addition to the 2 hour shift at night.
And not on Friday.
Not on Friday. Friday, people have to work on Friday.
So we're talking
I
4
think you're
hours.
going to find that the activity, because, I mean, I'm experiencing the same problems where I work.
Yeah.
It's not just Unionville,
Oh, no,
it's
it's
everywhere.
not. It's everywhere.
And I put cameras up. This is happening almost on a daily basis between noon and dark.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's, something we focus on weekends. It happens all the time, and he had it right. People don't care, and that's a statement of what society is today.
Yes.
It's blatant, it's rampant, and it's happening at hours that you would never imagine. Broad daylight, right in front of anybody, because they're that brazen.
Well, I mean, fortunately, we put in those cameras, and
Yeah, and the cameras are up and running now, and thank you, Ryan.
I think we ought to just approve the hours and let those running, the constables, decide how they
Decide
spread
how
it
they
out,
split it out,
so
yes.
that we have
I
better
agree.
coverage and not put it on TV exactly what the hours are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, I
Okay,
don't think they
so-
ever should have been announced, but
yeah,
it did come up at a public meeting, so
I know, But
we
the
can
less said, the
discuss, we
better
can
on that.
discuss that again in an executive session.
yeah.
So up until Labor Day weekend, through Labor Day weekend, we're
Well, that's
gonna
only-
Well, why
I
don't
thought
we,
you
that's
said
only-
through
why don't we
October.
say
That would be
through,
You said through summer, that
Oktoberfest.
would be September 21st. That
yeah,
would be
why don't
through
we
the
say
October-
through Oktoberfest?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 7 weekends.
Right, and, usually we have all the constables at Oktoberfest anyway, so.
Okay, so we approve them to have 3 hours instead of 2 for the weekends?
Well,
No,
21
no,
hours.
We're saying 4 hours instead of 2 on the weekends. A 2 hour shift during the day, and then they would still do the regular 2 hour shift at, during the evenings, when they're making sure that everything is closed up.
So this
I
is
mean,
Saturday and
sometimes
Sunday, not
Saturday
Friday.
night, sometimes Saturday night, they're down there until 11 o'clock at night, because they gotta lock up the park after a party or something. So, I mean, sometimes these guys are going out,
True.
9 to 11, or
Yeah,
sometimes
and
10
later.
to midnight. I mean, you don't know what hours they're gonna be down there, depending on what's going on in the park and all.
So
I mean,
you're saying 4 extra hours per weekend?
yes,
Total
Whether it be
42 hours.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever they
right.
decide.
42
So
hours,
an extra 4
man hours.
hours per week is 42 man hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 28 extra, right?
Yeah,
It's an extra 28 hours.
An extra 28 hours instead of 21. And you made that motion?
I'll make the motion if somebody wants to second it.
I'll second.
I would like to add something here. Before we adjourn the meeting, I'd like to go into a brief executive session and invite Jim to join us, just to put some stipulations on these hours.
Okay.
But
So we can
I'll
do
approve,
that at the
I'll
end of
approve
the
the
meeting?
motion, yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we will have a discussion on the employee handbook breakdown. Did all of you look through the employee handbook and decide what you'd like to work on?
I'm willing to work on any part of it you want. I went through the whole thing. You know, I sat and I read the whole thing.
So did
And I think there are some things, and I've been looking at other handbooks like that you had, and
I know,
to see some
I know.
things that,
From other
like John's
towns,
thing about
and
social
I
media.
know, and
and
I'd
I
like
think
to
that's-
touch on that.
Okay.
So that was John's part of the handbook he already did. I did health insurance. Again, I went through the whole handbook and I jotted down all different things that I would like to see changed. I can send them all out to you, if
Okay.
that's how you'd like to do it. Or do you want to?
And that's probably the best way to do it, so we can,
Now, do you want to change our policy or reword
Absorb.
the way it's written?
Reword the way it's written. I'm not looking to change the whole policy, but what I did is I went through the whole handbook, and in my book, I wrote down on each page the different things that I would like to see be done, see done.
I did
And,
the same thing.
and there's other things that need to be added, such as what John's gonna bring up tonight. And I'd like John to discuss that right now.
Okay. In reading it, I felt that the immediate need was to addressing social media, because that's a very hot topic nowadays, and we should have a policy on it so that people understand what our expectations are and what our restrictions are. So I'll read quickly what I wrote. Social media technology includes texting, emails, instant messaging, paging, social network sites such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, MySpace, along with any other information sharing services, website, or blogs. Social media is an effective communication tool to be used by elected officials and those authorized employees as part of their job. It is to be used only when there is benefit to the town as a fast distribution of important information related to public emergencies, safety, education or training, announcements, closures, and public relations. In light of this, it is the policy of the town of Unionville to use communication technology, especially social media, duties and responsibilities towards its residents. There is no information, albeit audio, written, digital messages, or video, which are obtained while working for the town, shared, disseminated, disclosed, posted, or otherwise distributed in any format by any form of social media without prior written approval of the Town of Unionville Town Board. Any violation of this policy can lead to disciplinary action. Personal cell phones and computers should not be used by employees during work hours except in the event of an emergency. For any and all electronic devices, including computers, cell phones, paid for by the town reserves the right to monitor all communications, including emails, texts, tweets, voice messages, including their content, as well as any and all use of equipment that is used to create, view, or access websites and electronic communications. In addition, all communications received or sent using town-owned or leased equipment are not private and can be reviewed, downloaded, transferred, or viewed by the town supervisor and/or the town board at any time.
I think that's a really good policy to put in place. That's something that we really do need to add to the employee handbook. And is there any other town board discussions on that?
No, I agree with John completely.
Completely.
I think it's something that should be put in immediately.
I thank you for working on this, but my addition would be, I think we need to separate. A lot of towns have like their personal social media policy as well as their town social media policy, so what can be posted on the town website and, you know, Facebook page and stuff, and how to follow that.
Well, this was
And
written
then-
for our handbook, for our employees, not for our website, for our residents.
No, but it would go in the employee handbook as, for instance, an operational procedure, and then this one could be a more personal one, but I do think it still needs to be a little more robust, so if we could, you know, have a discussion now and hold off approving
Okay.
it till next week when everybody gets a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I know I went through a couple different towns, and some of them are like 4 pages long, but very specific on like, and what I learned from going to the class in Albany is if you don't say it, then, you know, officially somebody could do it because you
Okay.
didn't say they can't do it. So like to be specific on anything that comes up and it's posted and it's offensive, or so to be a little more, I guess, obvious to people on what really can't be done.
Okay, so you want to make some suggestions?
Yeah, but I only have like some ideas. Like, for instance, one of the towns has comments, because they even have comments of individual people posting on like the town resident website, but something offensive to the town. So somebody's not happy with the town, so they want to go off on the town, so they write offensive things on the Facebook page, for instance. So this town says they reserve the right to deny access to social media sites for any individual who violates the town's social media policy. Any person comments that violate the town's social media policy will not, the person posting the comment will be blocked, banned from social media site at the town's discretion.
But that would not, that's not an employee, that would be a, that
Well,
would be a
that would
public, somebody from the public.
Right, and, you know, I mean, who would, I tell you what, I worked the media since we started it here, and right now, I think Ryan, Andrea, and Ellen are the only ones that really know how to access the Facebook page, the website. You know, I mean, I couldn't get on that website now if I wanted to. I mean, the Facebook page, once you go on Facebook, anybody can post something there,
Well, we can
or make a
block,
comment.
we can block that person. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That can be
but that's
added.
not part of the employee handbook. We're
Yeah.
discussing the employee handbook right now.
Actually, a social media policy, like for instance, I'll take the town of Dover. It is a part of their employee handbook. The town of Dover media policy is a part
But
of their
you're speaking of the
operational-
general public, not employees.
Correct, but operational procedures of the town, we have operational procedures of the town in our employee handbook now. Hiring, firing, those are operational procedures of the town. So where I listed it on the sheet wasn't under code of conduct for an employee, but it was under like operational procedures or something. It was on the
I don't
It's
feel that has
listed under
anything to do with an
communication.
employee handbook.
communication for the town.
All right, how about for the next meeting, you propose
Yep.
changes,
Mhm.
or additions, or deletions?
Yep.
And we'll review them all,
Yep.
and we'll vote.
Yep.
All right?
Yep, same on the cell phone policy, and
Okay,
maybe if somebody comes up with something else during the 2 weeks and can send it out, we can have like a couple things to review.
sure.
Okay with everyone else?
Fine
Okay,
with
so
me.
that's what we're gonna do. Next, we're gonna speak about the Library Steering Committee request for funds.
Are you having Betsy come up to present the request? She's
Well,
the chairperson, she presents.
okay, we'll have the chairperson come up and request her funds.
Hi there, I'm Betsy Moss. I live at 2377 Clove Road. And as you all know, the Library Steering Committee has been meeting since, I think, March, April. And we meet once a month, and we are studying sustainable library funding. We are coming up with various options that we are going to present to the town board in the next, maybe we're hoping in September. We have gotten to the point, after a lot of work on behalf of the library committee members and subcommittee members, we have gotten to the point where we got a good feel for, we're getting closer to where we want to be. And one of the items our agenda was to distribute a survey to the town residents, primarily because we've never really heard from a lot of the town residents as to what their views are. We also thought it would be much more helpful as we try to price out options to recommend to you, that we knew what options we'd be pricing, and we could have a very skewed opinion. You know, maybe you know, they want just children's stories or adult program. We don't really know what library services people in the town want because we've never asked them before. So we felt it would be a really good idea to find a survey. We created one for the library. The library steering committee created a survey. We thought we could find a way to distribute it that was economical, that was efficient, that would get the best response rates that we could get, and give us some feedback as to what was needed as far as services. And then we will feel much better about the options that we present because we can price them out better knowing what people want. So again, the steering committee broke into subcommittees. We had a subcommittee that focused on, you know, we all designed it together, and the survey passed. Everybody on the, almost 100%, almost unanimously, but not quite. But we have a group that likes the survey that we put together, asking people what they want. We looked then for how we would implement it and then how we would tally the results. If you implement it in a way that is maybe a hard copy on pieces of paper, it's a much more expensive, and then you can imagine having committee members trying to tally the results of lots of surveys coming in written by hand. So the next obvious choice would be to look for an online survey. So, and this is what we've come up with. Thanks to Dennis Spinney and Louise Chazang, we came up with, I think, which is an awesome idea. So Go Survey Company operates out of Herndon, Virginia, in the high-tech area down there. And for $118, which is putting a survey online, and our idea is to get the survey that we've already written and approved, put it online for 2 months. It'll be a month-long available as far as being available to the residents of the town to come, you know, go in there and fill out. But we need a little time to get it loaded, a little time to compile it and all that, so we figured we'll need their services for about 2 months. That would be $118. We are going to, our intention is to come up with a postcard, not a letter, not a thing with an envelope that would even be more expensive, but a postcard that we could mail out to the 1,800 households, approximately 1,800 households. And we have a mailing company that has priced it at $682, and that's to get out to 1,800. And it'll have complete instructions, where you go, how you fill out the survey, and that too will be to them. We need to communicate with them somehow to drive our response rates. We also thought, in addition, because the way the survey would be implemented, it's going to be, and I'm using this as an example, I don't know, they're going to give us an ID such as SOGO survey /Unionville. It'll be that easy for people to hit that link and go in. And then it'll be password protected. So only people with a certain password, which is going to be, I'll tell you in a minute what it is, it's going to be so difficult. So only people with that password can get in, and when that password's been used, nobody else can use it again. So that postcard's $682. We would print additional pieces of paper. That's $25 we came up with, about $25 in print, so we could, around town hall, all around town, maybe in Beekman and Millbrook Library, informing town residents to please go here and complete the survey, because again, we want the best response rates we can. And then for our third option, I have another cost, which I'll come back to. The survey will operate like this. We are going to load it, exactly the one that we've compiled and everybody voted on, if you approve this. We'll load it onto this online system. We will give people the address. They will link into it. We can send them an email, but we don't have that many town emails. We can tell them to go on and type it in themselves. And the password that will be protecting it is their address. So instead of using tax parcel numbers and all that, it's too complicated, you'll use 2377 Clove Road, and they'll put that in, and that will be only one person, it's one household survey. So if there's 4 children in that house, we're assuming that the parent will answer the survey in response to all the kids. Comments are allowed at the end, and we'll get copies of all those comments. The results will be anonymous because the password is the address, but when we get the compilation of the results, so we'll see a compilation of all the results, including a page of all the comments, but we won't know where they came from. So people can feel free to express their opinions. So we think it's a really great idea. This company does a lot of surveys for universities and places that want quarterly updates. And it's the most efficient, least expensive. Thank you, Dennis Spinney, for doing a great job finding this company. And they're terrific, they're smart, and they will advise us as to how to get it loaded, and then we're up, if you like the idea. Now, the next thing that's part of the request for funds is one of the 3 options that we've identified that we are probably, going to narrow down and present to you. One of them involves getting some outside help, because one of the options has to be looking at what it would cost to build our own library or to take some existing space and turn it into a library. It's only logical that you would compare that with other options. So we have found a library, I like to call him the library architect, Paul Mays, because he and his company from upstate New York have built over 200 libraries. He's also a trustee in a library system. He knows the backwards and forwards. And he has offered to come here for $400, which is a really inexpensive fee in the belief of our whole committee, for somebody, an expert, to come and look at Time Warp Park buildings, every bit of property on 55, everything that the town of Unionville has. His mission would be to come and look at it and talk to us and hear a little bit about what our objectives are, and then give us some round figures, what would make sense for the town. It's a nice opportunity to get a real expert's opinion on what might be possible here. So we wanted to put that into our budget request of $400. So between the survey, the postcard, the printing, so we have some around town, and Paul Mays, which is $400, and everybody's gotten some information about him, and you can go onto their website to see how talented they are. The total for that is $1,225, $1,225. And the only additional monies that we thought that we might ever spend is at the very end of the process. We're going to compile a recommendation for you, and we haven't spent any money on printing or anything. We do it all ourselves. But we thought at the end we're going to want a printed handout to give to each one of you. So in addition to the $1,225, we might want to add a little bit more to that just for some printing at the end, so you can have hard copy of what we finally recommend. So that would be it. $1,225 plus, I don't know. We could give you we might bump it up to $1,300. If depending, I mean, I don't know exactly what printing would be, how thick our presentation is going to be, but just to cover getting that printed so it'll be in good form.
So if we
questions?
approve 1,300, we may get change back.
You may get change back. Exactly. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Anything we don't use, it stays with you. Any other questions or?
I would suggest coordinating with our media coordinator as well. Get this on the website and on the TV.
Yeah. Great idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Because that same link, it can be displayed
Right.
anywhere,
Sure.
because once you go in, only that password will work. So,
But the password is your address?
is your address.
Who's to say my neighbor's not going to use my address?
Well, what will happen is, and I discussed this with if your neighbor goes in and then you go in, you won't be able to complete the survey. So then you're going to call and say, I've gone in 3 times and it rejects me, and we will be able to determine that it was used by somebody, and we'll be able to tell the IP address of where that address, we'll be able to tell which computer that came from.
Okay.
So it is a good
I
password
just
to
want to
use.
make that clear to everyone else.
Wait a
You
minute.
can't use your neighbor's
All right,
address.
Ryan, come on up here.
Tell us, what do you
You
think?
you opened your mouth, come on up here.
Not quite how that works. I'll discuss with you after, but I think using the address is a horrible idea for a host of reasons. But I'd be happy to work with you and try and source something out that would be effective.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to introduce you to SOGO Surveys,
Okay.
because they deal with companies all around the world. And for us, what we wanted was a very effective way so that our town residents didn't have to memorize a tax parcel ID. We want it done for households, not tax-free households, not tax-paying households, because we have some of both. We want households. And we have about 1,800 of them. And if you want to think of something that people will know and they can sign in on, only one person with that address is going to be able to take it, is going to be able to sign in. I don't think it'll be a problem. They said, well, how serious, in other words, are you worried about people lying or fudging? And, and they can't, only one person per address can take it, unless they go to that's the only way. There's only one person per address. So.
One obnoxious person like me, you could easily go and say, all right, well, I'm this,
Yeah.
block of 100 addresses, and I
That's what I'm saying, a wise guy.
Exactly, and it's probably not an overly secured system. I'm sure spoofing it wouldn't be that difficult. So I would say finding a unique identifier that could be identified, directly to a set household that is, known only to that household, something like that, and we could work that out. even if you were to say, someone calls in, if someone, if you're having this issue,
Yeah, let people
where,
see who you are.
someone says, "Oh, I'm at this address," but it's someone just trying to get more votes in on themselves. Okay, so you go through and they can maybe pull up the IP address of whoever it was that filled out that particular survey, but then what? That's not there's no computer fraud act that would be effective against that.
But we're not trying to, I'm not worried about, I am worried about fraud, I'm not worried about a legal I'm worried about if we see that, if 3 people call us and tell us, oh, I can't get on, somebody must have used my address, then we would know we have a problem.
Right.
And then we could also find out where that problem emanated from. And then we could either go to a plan B, we could go to a plan B, or we could have them come in and sit with us, we could change the password, we could do lots of things, but I don't see the town having a big fraud issue, but if we detected one, we could come up with a different plan.
Well, you'd have to have that person doing it multiple times or something obnoxious, where you have the same IP logging in through.
Right,
5
which
or
they
10
would
different
detect.
ones.
They said they'd show us right away. They said they have a lot of red flags built into the
But then
system.
you also have a problem of what about people that don't have internet access, go to the library to do it.
Right.
It's going to be the same exact
We'll
IP
know that
address.
IP address, yeah.
I suppose, but it could be dynamic, and that means that it rotates every, typically, a month, I think. So it would be the same or different depending on it. And it's just, there's other ways to do it.
Well, I'll put you in touch with them, and you
Okay.
can talk to them about it.
Sure.
We want to do it the simplest way for the town residents. I don't see that happening here.
Okay.
But, maybe, if you're off and missing for a couple of days, we'll come find you.
Definitely.
But other than you, there might be, the only other thing we were thinking is if we put a unique identifier on the postcard, then the postcard, it comes to your, then it's not in an envelope.
That I think would be the best thing.
It's not in an envelope, it's like anybody could get that too.
Like a gift card. You get a gift card from Walmart, something has an activation code. You have to take that foil off in order to get to the code.
Oh, I know.
That is a
Yeah.
super cheap solution, super easy. You generate, a 10-digit string, and you're set.
This guy, only somebody like him would worry about this, because for me, I was just like, just give me a link, I'll go on and do the
I
survey.
know, but I thought
You
about
know,
it too.
but-
Like, my neighbor's gonna use my address.
But it is, okay, we could change the password requirement. Again, we want to keep it easy, so that's not hard to do. I think that the good news is these people can password protect it, which is great, and we can solve for it. I don't think we're going to have trouble in the town. I just don't think we have a lot of problems.
Doesn't seem like a high-risk topic.
I
No,
don't,
but
you
you
know,
also
we're
have-
just
You never
trying
know.
to get.
You never know, because, yeah.
But you also have the people that might be concerned about privacy, like you had mentioned. That you can't see it, so it's totally anonymous. If we take the address totally out of the equation, they just got a postcard and it has a random code on it that we had no way to inventory or audit, they know that they are getting this brand new spanking code that's not linked to them at all, and they can be honest, which is the whole goal here.
Right, which they haven't had trouble being with in regards to the library, have they?
Right, but something you can discuss.
Yeah. I think we've taken enough time, yeah, so it won't matter, it won't affect the pricing,
Everyone,
because we
right.
just need to come up with a
Right,
password.
yeah.
And we wanted to make it as simple as possible.
Right.
So we and come up with a different password.
Jake?
I had a question. What about
Sure.
multiple people in a household?
It's only one household.
One per
Yeah.
household.
One
One
vote
per
per house.
household.
So the first question, let me answer that. The first question actually says, do you have a library card, yes or no? And then under it, it says, how many cards are in your household? So technically, like if I was answering for my house and I say I do it, so I say 5. So technically you assume 5 people are kind of in agreement.
Well, but it says for a mother or a father, if you've got multiple, let's say you have 3 kids or 4, you're going to answer multiple questions based on, well, I know this would be perfect for this instance, and this might be perfect for my husband, or, you can answer it for everybody in your house by saying children's stories, adult programs, whatever it is, career changing. Did that answer your question?
No, because what if there's like multiple adults living at the same address?
Like renting, sometimes.
Oh, so you're saying apartment 1, apartment 2?
That can be added in,
or,
My
sure.
wife and
That's a
I,
different address.
And then my parents.
Well, no, like you have
I guess big families
residents
living
on the
together.
green,
Yeah.
right, where there are 3 different households
Families.
in one house.
One
Both-
address.
So let me just ask you this, because this is an interesting question. Ultimately, if there's a cost involved with this, and we don't know, we haven't finalized the recommendations yet, But ultimately, it's gonna be borne by the taxpayers. So the people we're reaching out to
Two are the taxpayers.
are ultimately the taxpayers. So if you own a building and you rent it out to 4 different families, you know, the way it's gonna go, actually those 4 different apartments are gonna get would get an invitation to comply, to take a survey.
It's 4 addresses. Each apartment is its own address.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is based on households, so whether or not they're, and it doesn't matter if they're taxpayers, now that I'm thinking about it, because
Right.
there are
They're
non-tax.
residents.
It's a household thing, and that's why we 1,800. So
Well,
if
we
there's
have
4
very few
people living in a
multiple
house, you know, they're
family
gonna have to
homes.
take
Yeah.
it 1 per house. You know, I mean, they're gonna have to come, you know, they can say, let's share the results and add answers. Okay, but it is for each address. Any other questions? Nothing? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now the question is, where would the money even come from? Because it would have to be transferred into a,
Oh, not only
have
that,
to
when
be
this,
allocated.
this question first came up, I had asked whether it was permissible, and I haven't heard a ruling on that yet either.
Oh, I
I'm
can,
not, and I want to make it very clear, I'm not opposed to funding this, if it's permissible.
give me just a moment and I will read the email from Tom Jacobelis, because I did ask him following that meeting, that there was a concern, and so of course that was a concern then to me as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here, so he just emailed me back to, so I could read it.
Can that email be forwarded to the rest of the board?
Absolutely.
Then you don't need to read it.
Okay. So, yes, absolutely, it would be, you know, allocating money to the library steering committee to perform the survey, but there is no law against the town board, you know, issuing a survey in their town. He said lots of towns that he actually is currently working for do surveys all the time.
Well, it's not the question of the survey, it's a specific survey for the library system that I understood was prohibited by our previous council, advice of our previous council.
Yeah, we did hear that last year.
Right.
It may have been how you were choosing to carry out the survey? Was it a survey that was going to be done on election day?
No, I believe that was even done.
We had considered a referendum, but then we were told that we couldn't do that, and we're told that we couldn't participate in a survey.
Well, if our current attorney says we can, we can. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
I agree.
I can forward it to you.
In addition to that, we're funding the expenses of a committee that, you know, we
Right.
allocated to get us a specific, to come back with specifics.
Mm-hmm.
And this money is necessary to get that information.
Yeah.
They can't come up with the.
And I agree with that. But, you know, I
And
wanted
if-
some clarification on the law.
And if we're wrong, well, Tom has to defend us, so.
All right, so I think that Tom Jacobelis will be here at the next meeting.
Honest, I'll make a motion that we fund the $1,300.
From where?
If we have to take it from general fund, we have to take it from general fund.
Would you like me to read the email and then I can forward it to you right after we're done? But I'm not scheduled to be at the meeting on August 4th. I will actually be out of the office on vacation. The library steering committee is an advisory committee. Advisory committees can only make recommendations to the town board. The town board should vote on authorizing the library committee to conduct a survey, and if there's any cost with the survey, the town board would then have to authorize and monetary disbursements, probably authorize any probably monetary disbursements in connection with the survey. There is nothing illegal about a town conducting a survey as the town board authorizes the survey by a simple majority vote. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
That's in conflict with what we were told previously.
Well, since he's our current one, we go with him.
Yeah.
So Dave made a motion.
Is there a second? I don't know.
I'll second it. I know where the money's coming from. General fund?
I'd say from general fund.
All right, then I'll second it.
Town board discussion?
I will say, I think the survey is a little premature at this stage, but that at some point it would come into effect, so I'm not sure. We would have to come up with the money anyway, so I'm not sure that delaying it, if the results of the survey are not compelling to change anything in the presentation, it may be compelling later on for the board making their decision when all the presentations come about, so.
Any other town board discussion? All those?
Oh, wait a minute, there also, in that $1,300 was the $400 for the consultant too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was,
Yeah, that was for
So,
everything.
It was,
Yeah, so
it
that-
was broken down as $825 total
Right,
for those
but I mean,
components.
what I'm
400.
saying is, we're
It's everything they
authorizing
want.
$1,300
Yes.
for their expenses.
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolutions and motions. There is a motion to purchase picnic tables for the park. This has been going on and on and on for many weeks now. And at this point, I would like Jake to stand up and discuss this with us.
I'm Jake. Kind of acting park manager, kind of. I was looking at all the picnic tables that have been set forward, you know, the ADA compliant ones, and they are somewhat expensive, especially seeing as how we want to buy at least 4 of them. And there's no reason why the maintenance crew can't build them for way less of a cost to us and paint them and have them out, and you know, yeah, that's my opinion on it. We can make perfectly compliant tables for a fraction of the cost, as opposed to like $150 something a table plus shipping. We could do it for, you know, materials under $150 a table.
Plus, if we order them, they probably wouldn't be here till October, November.
Exactly.
So we could store them.
Yeah. So that's
Very nice.
That's my suggestion on that. Instead of buying ADA compliant tables, we can make them.
And save
I
a lot of money.
I think we just found where we're getting the money for the library steering committee.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you do it when it's not like quite so in season. So we are talking about September or October.
September,
That's
October.
why he's willing to.
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
out
I don't think we need them
temporary
this summer.
tables. Right.
No,
So
exactly.
temporarily we can.
And I know, Mr. Kelly, you had said that you were worried about, you know, the state of some of the other picnic tables, and that's a project we can do over the winter. We can pull them in the shop. Yeah, we can pull them in the shop. We can sand them out. We can put a new coat of paint on them, the correct coat of paints, and yeah, so we can revamp all the picnic tables.
Very good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gina.
Yeah.
Great solution.
So I suggest that we table this.
Well,
I'd say we cancel.
I say we cancel this motion.
yeah, can't cancel it in lieu of the
Rely on our-
supplies that will.
Okay.
Rely on in-house talent.
Probably all those supplies is like the cost of 1 or 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Did Jim leave?
Okay.
Shoot. All right, well, still want to have a quick discussion.
All right. Public comments on non-agenda items. He's right there, Steve.
He's there.
Oh,
He's
okay.
there.
Oh, Jim's there, okay.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
You wanna pick my brain?
Yeah.
Don't take it too hard.
All right. Thank you.
I get 4.
Yeah.
Don't worry. There is a little bit of paper, but really, you could just look at it, follow along. I want to just introduce myself. I'm Jessica Dickinson, Acting Recreation Director for the town of Unionville. And I want to thank Patty, too. She's been more than kind stopping by to hold little weekly leadership meetings with us that really have been positive. We like seeing her face down there, and it's really nice just to have that presence and a little support, so it's been really great easing the transition for all of us to making sure that the community sees this transition as seamless as possible, and it will only become greater from here. So, and then you all met Jake, who is helping out on the parks end, and that's a fantastic help because I'm great at certain things, and so is he. So I think with our powers combined, it really is an asset here. I want to let Jake take the reins and just tell you a little bit about what we've been doing the past couple weeks. We'll make it really short. I don't want to intimidate anyone with the 2 papers that I handed you, but it's just some data to look at, and then some more data as far as another one of the points that we'll make. So Jake can go into some pool stuff, and then we'll just kind of, team off from there.
So, like Patty said, Tom, St. Ange, and I both got our CPO certifications, so the pool's certified. We also completed the order for all the pool stuff. I was able to meet with Malia some and pare the list down a little bit more, save some more money, but that was good. And we talked to Malia a little bit about like just keeping communication open, so that way we don't wind up with things like that.
Right. So we are their kind of direct link, and then of course any further concerns that you need to be involved in, we'll surely do that. We addressed some patron concerns this week regarding specifically a lap lane at the pool. We want to keep everybody happy down there, so I went ahead and just made a little makeshift sign about the lap lane, alert, let's use it nicely, and it seemed to put a little Band-Aid on maybe some new signage issues that we need to look for going into next season, so that everyone's aware of what is happening down there at what time, so that will hopefully be a solution. Summer programs and camp programs are going extremely well. We're really in the heat of everything. We came off a fantastic trip today. Things are running great and smoothly, and I know any transition period is tough, but we're making, some great progress.
There were some concerns about a couple things at Godfrey Park. I had a call about the bathrooms being locked all the time. And I called him back. I thanked him for at least letting us know, and I just told the guys to make sure every morning we go up, make sure they're unlocked. And then we also had some ground bees up there in the sand and also in the gravel as well. And we took care of them, and it seems to be working. And we'll just
good,
have
that's
to,
been a problem for years.
for years. And so we tried it out up there, and it seems to be working. And hopefully we'll just kind of keep monitoring it and see where it goes from there.
And to remind everybody, we have a great camping weekend planned coming up at the end of August, August 26th, 27th, and 28th. There's still plenty of time to register. It's like glamping, we make sure all the food's covered. We kind of cater to your needs. So it's $25 per resident, $30 a non-resident, and includes all the food, the activities, the pool time. It'll be really great. After that, later in September 25th, we have our Oktoberfest. It's like Patty mentioned, the planning is going fantastic. We've got some new partnerships in the work as far as the beer distributor, the food, lots of really great things that can not only we'll see progress at Oktoberfest, but maybe partnerships for future events as well.
Also on the Oktoberfest thing, Mrs. Kelly, you had said that you were a little bit worried about IDs.
Yeah.
And so had Steph, because Steph had worked at the admission table a couple years in a row. And I did find a scanner that you can use to bleep, you basically just bleep the ID. It tells you if they're old enough or not. It gives you a green check if they're over 21, gives you a red check if they're
Also
not.
shows whether it's a valid ID.
Exactly, which is
if
really
it's
nice.
fraudulent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's something that we can use, which helps limit liability.
Very cool.
We talked about the picnic tables.
What is the cost of that?
It's nothing.
What?
It's an app.
It's an app. There's an app for that.
Oh, wow,
Wow.
very good.
Yeah, it's free.
We
So
played around with it. It's pretty fun.
yeah,
It works.
it took me a little while to find one, but yeah, it's free. So
Wow.
Very cool.
yeah, and then on that, on like saving money, you gave out sheets, right?
I did.
So we started talking with the county about using their program for purchasing supplies right through them, and as you can see, Jess and I went down there yesterday.
Yeah.
And checked it out, and
For High Street, right?
yeah, it's pretty awesome. We set up an account with them, so we can save a considerable amount of money buying supplies.
They're quality merchandise as well. I use them at my job.
Yeah, that's
it's
why we went
fantastic.
down to kind of see what it was about and make sure it was good. So yeah, and then on from that, I got in contact with the Arbor Day Foundation because we had a grant for trees where we removed all those trees, and we just weren't sure what was going on with it. and I got in touch with them. We've already received half of the grant money. I'm not sure where it is, but we received that. And then he gave me the rest of the instructions of what to do to be able to receive the rest so that we can get that going and get that finished.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so the transition, again, you know, we have a lot of things to learn too, but we're just trying to make it as seamless as possible for everyone. And save some money too, because I shop clearance, so. One thing I want to touch on, and we don't have to make a decision tonight, but I want you to be aware, since we are both some responsible parties down there, I personally had some issues with feeling okay when there are rentals and people are utilizing our facility with no staff presence. Yes, the constables are making their rounds and doing a great job, and I appreciate James's passion. And you know, all of those needs just can't be met at all the times of the rentals. So we thought about having that staff. And only if there is a continuing party until 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight is the max, that we have that staff present. So it would not only limit liability, I mean,
People get really weirded out when we hand them a key.
And the code.
And a code.
Oh,
that's
yeah, no,
also-
I agree.
That is
that's
never
also a little
changed
bit
either.
weird. That's,
We
you
have
know,
to
Something that I think is due for a new policy.
Yes, definitely.
And some new routines. So, you know, it will limit that liability. The employee, of course, I know we don't hand keys to anyone that's under 18. You know, they would be stationed in that main office between the two rental rooms, which is a really great place. Any problems, concerns during rentals can be handled immediately instead of calling Patty or myself or Jake, hey, the toilet's overflowing, come on a Saturday night immediately. Low-key thing, but that presence would be helpful to anyone renting. So we're flexible on when we can start it, but we can start it immediately if you guys want.
I think it would be definitely a step forward to implement it immediately for everyone's protection and for the benefit of the facilities. So I'll make a motion we implement it.
And I think I want to explain that there was a maintenance position open for a summer helper,
Yeah.
summer staff for the maintenance. No one was ever hired, so there is money in the budget to cover this. It's not going to be an every night thing, only when the buildings are being rented out.
Well, that was what I was going to allude to. If we move forward with this, I'd like to adjust the pricing of the rentals to cover the cost
To cover the cost of
of the
the
personnel.
person. I mean, maybe not for this year. I mean,
Right, I think because we do
think
have
that
rentals already in
we
place
have
and.
rentals already in
Right.
place for the rest of
Right.
this year, and we do have that extra money from the person that we didn't hire for the summer. So I think we could put some
I
in
don't have a
for the
problem with
rest of
that,
this
but
year.
I'd like to
But
discuss.
yes, and then discuss upping the rental fees for starting January.
Well, why don't we do it as soon as possible and introduce it with any new renters? You know, existing
Yeah.
contracts are
Yeah.
existing
Yeah.
contracts.
Yeah,
We'll kind of grandfather
Right.
people in
Yeah.
that are.
Yeah,
That's-
so I mean,
That's an
how much-
existing contract, we can't modify it.
yeah,
Sure.
and,
But
and,
any new contracts
Yep.
that come in, we could
yep.
put in
And
at the
Jessica
adjusted
could
rate.
add up how many hours we would need this person there and see how much we would have to pay
Right.
them. I mean, it's not a big salary, it's one that
Probably a camp counselor rate, you know, just a recreation person,
$11 an hour, something like
something
that,
like that.
for 7 to midnight,
Right.
you know, and then you just
And
add
if
on.
earlier, they would leave earlier, so.
Right, right.
Right.
So for
So
now,
could we ask you to kind of write up like what the new policy would look like? And then,
Yep.
sort of how that would look like, okay, so it would be this person, it would look like this, they would always open the building, they would close the building, check with the constable, whatever.
Yep, we could certainly do that, and maybe if at the next town board meeting, we can just make it
Just pass
official.
through.
And
do
then,
you have
Actually-
any rentals between now and then?
We have one on Saturday.
Yes, if I can just forward, I know John was there that night that we had a rather lengthy meeting
Yeah,
with our former park manager about this, who's responsible for locking up and everything. And he was trying to pass it all off on the constables back then.
Yeah,
And it was brought up back then that, yes, this is a security issue, and having staff on, I'll second John's motion.
Oh,
I think we
good.
should start right now.
I think we should start right now.
yeah, starting Saturday, immediately.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Very good. You can finish up.
We have a room upstairs, the arts and crafts room, and it hasn't been rented yet or anything, partly because the decks outside are, as I'm pretty sure everybody knows, are like in pretty bad shape, possibly falling down. They're unsafe. Nobody's using them right now. But I did some research. We could turn that room into a rental room, so we could generate revenue off of it. And I've also just started to look into like different ways that we can configure smaller decks.
The trouble with renting it is we don't have handicapped
That's
accessibility.
what I said.
Yes, and I talked to George Cole,
Yeah,
and he said as long as it's written into our rental agreement that it is non-ADA compliant.
okay.
That's what I was told.
I think we should check with the attorney as well.
I think that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
we will.
But that's what I was told
Right.
as a way to kind of work it, so,
And there's time on that too, because
Yeah, it's-
obviously it's not going to be used
Mhm.
anytime.
with the deck.
Right.
I have a question about the Oktoberfest.
Sure.
Andrea and I have started on the liquor license. Are
Mhm.
you guys taking care of that, or is that still something? I mean,
My-
I've always taken care of it.
Yep, you could
That
still
was used to
keep
be my
taking care of
job
it.
at Oktoberfest.
Absolutely, we're gonna need that.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I've
Yep.
started it.
You're not
awesome.
getting off the hook.
yeah.
No, I
just wanted to know.
I told her that you did that already.
Oh, okay.
Good,
You're
yeah,
getting off the hook.
gotta have that.
Jake, what do
No,
you
I
mean
just
by
wanted to make
smaller?
Yeah, we
sure
gotta
that
have
we
that.
weren't gonna have two liquor licenses.
So right now,
No, we
Nope.
already told them, Marilyn.
Okay.
so it's a two-tiered deck.
Yep.
Right now, the deck is unsafe. It's not lagged into the building. We have it supported, so it's not gonna fall down.
Okay.
But instead of having a gigantic deck, which is never used for anything except to go up and down, we
Right.
can make possibly a landing with a set of stairs for the
Put
upper
an
one.
elevator in.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then a landing with a set of stairs for the other door. Just ways to, cut down on, we don't need a gigantic deck. We're gonna have to rebuild it anyway.
Right.
Why build? Why overbuild if we don't need it?
Right.
Do you have that so nobody can access it, the deck?
No, it's not, so we can't access it because we're not allowed to. I have it, so it's safe.
He's got it all secured.
It's all secure,
Much
it's
better
all
than it was.
safe.
John and I were
Just
down
because
there.
it
Mhm.
is a emergency exit.
All right.
So we shorted up, made it safe, but it's
There's
not.
no other way to get to the upper level though, right?
There
There
is.
is in the
You can go up the
okay.
back staircase, so
Alright.
that's been used as the main entrance
Yeah,
right now.
all right.
Right, the camp kids are using that
Yeah.
to get to the arts and crafts room, but they just go through the big barn up there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, we just wanna end with, we appreciate, just you guys being positive with us, and, I like to communicate. I think the more we can just communicate and talk about things, and also I wanna voice that to the residents too, who come out to these town board meetings. I want you to keep coming, let us know, come stop in our office, and just keep the communication wide open, because that's the only thing that things are gonna get done that you guys need, so.
Can I just hit this, but this is more for you, Jake.
Sure.
It's come to my attention that, once we close the gate at night,
Mhm.
as you're going down to the left of it, there's a way you can get through the trees,
Kind of.
kind of.
Yeah, if.
Is there any way that you can put a big
Big
rock
rock.
there or something to,
Yes, we can.
Big rocks are
we
just.
can do that.
something to keep the,
I've never seen anybody go through it. I've never seen the evidence of it. Tom has, so I'm sure it's happened.
Or even a
Yeah.
good post.
Yeah,
Huh?
just something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because,
Yeah, no problem.
I've seen the tire tracks on occasion.
Sure.
And, I know Mr. Ward has mentioned times that,
Sure.
so it's just one other way of doing it. And then I'll talk to you about that gate at another time.
Sure. Want the keypad?
Huh?
The keypad gate?
Yeah.
Sure.
But thank you, thanks for trusting us with
Okay.
your park.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, you wanna go into some?
Yeah, I'd like to call executive session.
Can I just mention one thing before?
Sure.
I just want to mention, the fire company will have their annual picnic Sunday the 7th at the park, 1 o'clock.
This Sunday?
The
This
town
Sunday.
board is
August 7th.
invited,
Mhm.
right?
Not you.
He's president. He doesn't need
Actually,
anybody.
So,
I gotta shoot.
make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss security measures.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
return from executive session. No money was spent, no decisions made.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. When's our next meeting? I lost my.
The
August
18th.
18th.
August 18th is our
Yeah,
next
2 weeks
town
from
board
tonight.
meeting, 2 weeks from tonight, 7 PM. And
And
I'd like
there's
to make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
One of the
Executive session.